Welcome to a short preview of this ScreenCastsOnline video tutorial. Back in episode 712, I covered setting up and using Apple Mail rules on iOS. In order to set up centralized Apple Mail rules, it's necessary to log into iCloud.com. But I mentioned that if you try to access iCloud.com on iOS, you only get access to this screen. Now, by default, you can't log into iCloud.com on Mobile Safari on an iOS device. However, thanks to some eagle-eyed ScreenCastsOnline viewers, it transpires that you can. Now, the reason for seeing this cut-down version of the iCloud.com homepage is that it's the mobile version of the site. And to be honest, it doesn't fully support the desktop size on mobile, but if you need to get in just to access the preferences, you can do. That's just a quick preview of one of this week's Apple-related tutorials from ScreenCastsOnline. ScreenCastsOnline is your premium source of Apple-related video tutorials. All of our members get access to brand new, up-to-date tutorials each week, as well as unlimited access to our entire video archive full of Mac and iOS-related tutorials. You can stream and download all of our videos on your Mac, iPad and iPhone, and even your Apple TV using the members-only ScreenCastsOnline Apple TV app. Membership also includes a complimentary subscription to the digital ScreenCastsOnline monthly magazine, published each month and packed with videos, articles, reviews, as well as hints and tips covering all aspects of the Mac, iPad, iPhone, and all of the other fantastic Apple products. So, if you're ready to start getting the most out of your Apple devices, visit ScreenCastsOnline.com today and become a ScreenCastsOnline member.